and then,
Is
and
that,
then,
by the way, is that okay with you? Is that okay?
of course. And then Kendra will say too, like we're constantly, uploading content. Like, let's call the Bridge Road folks. I live on Bridge Road. They're my besties. I already sent them out information about Ralston. They're asking me a million questions. So Kendra would ask, do you have a minute? I'm Kendra. I'm on the Sharp group with Debbie Sharp. Debbie asked me to reach out and say, I know you wanted to peek into the property because you mentioned that you love the aesthetic. Anybody else that can benefit from this great house? How can we help you? Anything going on with the property? And so coming from abundance and keeping it short and asking, do you have a minute? Right? And leaving a succinct voicemail that's 30 seconds. I mean, who gets the 5-minute voicemails? I'm like, what? And I'm like, delete. I'm like, help. I can't even get to the number. Thank God for Apple, because then you could see the number. I'm like, delete. I can't listen to your voicemail. So we're really trying to style flex and perfect that whole lead generation that I have not been good at. I started out very good because I had the time, right? I went to the office at 7 a.m. and I had the time to do it. Then I got over busy, whatever. And then I didn't lead gen. I'm like, what am I doing? I definitely generated, I'm like, oh, hi, let's have coffee. Let's do that. Let's meet at open house. Come here. But picking up the phone is hard discipline. So we're constantly trying to perfect our craft.
Perfect. So what I'm hearing you say is, even when you're doing these big numbers, 16 million, 9 million, 7 million, your days and your team's day still looks like it would at someone at the 500,000 level, which is picking up the phone.
Of course. Yeah. Our content will be different, but everybody, money doesn't buy style, and everybody is human. And we don't treat we, of course, flex. I use that word a lot because we're not robots. If I know you, then I have of course I have a little bit different, content or behavior. And if you're have not met, that's a little different as well. Or if you're a $16.8 million home or a 798, nobody's more important because it all compounds, right, to very expensive real estate. Because the 798, we're going to sell it, we're going to list it. Our buying team is going to sell it more than likely because they have the best results. And then we're going to get referrals from that. So that's a coffee table effect of 5 million. So that's big money, right? So we're measuring our listings of not just a listing price, but we're saying, what is the ripple effect? And we're doing it, we're managing that and measuring that. And we're definitely having a 3 times ripple effect on all of our listings.
Can you expand on that, the ripple effect and the coffee effect, coffee table?
Yeah, so the coffee table book effect is all about what are you putting your time into? And so we love listings. We all do. We love buyers too. However, listings is the keeper of the brand. It's one location. It's not a buyer that's moving around, right? So it's one location, and here's our listing. And it's a big opportunity to be like, first off, our job is to represent the property and the property owner and have results. Secondly, we want to help more people and more property owners and have that ripple effect. So we're, of course, utilizing a yard sign, which is very minor. And we're utilizing, very big marketing campaigns, our digital marketing, a little bit of print marketing. We have not printed since last March, and we're planning to not start that up again as of now. We might style flex as we go forward. And then we're trying to wrap around the neighborhood. So we're constantly sending, either coming soon or just sold. And it's not just coming soon, look how great I am. It's about sending a letter to the street right away. Hi, it's Debbie Sharp. I represent the Camozis at 519 Francisco. We are presenting the property. You'll see some activity, some painters, some construction, some landscaping. I hope that you find that to be a beautiful impact for your street. If there's anything good or not good that comes about from that, please call me directly. So if cars are parked in your driveway, we keep it very short. And they're like, oh, they pick up the phone and call me. It's a call to action. What are you doing? How much is the investment? What are you putting into landscaping? I'm like, oh, what's your name? Where do you live? They're like, oh, I'm at 527 and I'm selling next year. I said, oh gosh, we have another business, Home by the Sharp Group. We'd love to talk to you now. Why don't we prepare your house now? You can enjoy it and move next year. They're like, okay. So it's just what ripple effect can we have? An open house is number one, to represent the property. Number two, it's to represent, really everybody wants to know about real estate, what's going on, and you are the expert. And number three is how can we benefit more people in the neighborhood or beyond for, next results for them and for us. And we never take appointments during the open house. Normally it's always the next day or by phone afternoon, but you're never like, oh, I'll be right over. You're like focused on this, but what is the business model for that ripple effect? Because every listing, every buyer client should have a 3 to 5 times result for you if you're managing the expectation with yourself and your team and your current clients. Are you asking for referrals? What is the ripple effect of every client in your database?
Wow.
At least 2 times, right?
Excellent. Thank you. So great information that you're sharing with us so far. Thank you for this. Questions that come to mind, anyone who's listening and watching, what questions do you have for $100 to $200 million producer who's on the Zoom call with us right now? This is a shot.
Hi, this is Glenn Rice. Sorry, my camera's not on. I'm actually on the expressway driving.
I like it.
So with regards to follow-up and that ripple effect, when it comes to your previous listings and the owners, following up with them, how do you do it where it doesn't, because my fear is always coming across like, oh, he's just calling for business.
Exactly, Glenn.
And it is our business, but it's a business of relationships. But a lot of times people get turned off to that.
Yeah.
So how do you follow up where you're sounding, genuinely, hey, I want to know how you're doing. I'm calling you for this. It's not a mask for me just to get business, even though, I'm probably going to ask for some business.
Well, I think we do it as a 3-prong approach. We try to do like 3, 5, we come up with a plan so that we're always coming from abundance. We're like, hey, who do you know? No. But so we're constantly calling about, first off, their house. Like, it's been a year, happy anniversary. It's either a note card or a call. And we're not perfect at this, guys. We make mistakes all the time. So just know, none of this is 100%. We are human and we're good to great, right? We want to get to the next level, but you should be calling, on first month, mid-year and end of year, their first, when they're either, buying or selling. Like, can you believe your house is on the market? There's always something about the property. Then the next call really is all about a content. Like, hey, it could be about, 1031 exchanges, that's a benefit. Capital gains. How do we get away from, what is a legal way to get around capital gains? Well, let's lease your house out. You're never home anyway. You're traveling to Florida to see my friends across the country. Let's lease your house out and then buy something else, and do a 1031 exchange. So we're always like content advisors. We are advisors. And then the third one, we're always looking like, okay, it could be personal. It could be a birthday, a promotion, a LinkedIn, event, an IPO. I just called, 3 of our clients that had IPO events last week. I'm like, holy SHIT, go, go, go. And I didn't ask them for business in that call. I'm like, grab me if you need me. Have a great weekend. Drink some Vuvka Club. But if you're coming from abundance, it's not going to be like, oh shit, she's calling again. Oops, we're being recorded. Sorry.
Okay.
So then I'm like, and so we're always saying, but we don't want to be Pollyanna too and say, okay, bye, have a great day. And I'm like, oh crap, I didn't ask for business. Because again, you could and it could be like, oh my gosh, I hung up so fast. If anybody in your world that can benefit from our team's expertise, text me. So like if you make a mistake or you don't feel comfortable, I just pop a text. Elaine, so great to welcome back from Hawaii. I know Kendra called you and she toured you through Walston. Who do you know? Tell me everything. Who can we get in that sexy house? And she's like, you're so funny. She goes, did you reach out to Lorna? Her son and daughter-in-law are looking. And I'm like, they didn't buy that, but I'm working with their son and daughter-in-law now, Now sometimes you don't get the business. They're like, no, Debbie, quit bugging me about Ralston. It's just human. Okay. So don't be, if you're coming from abundance, Glenn, and group, again, I used to be like, oh crap, I'm not going to call. But when somebody calls you and you pick up the phone, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I picked up the phone. When somebody texts me like Jason, sometimes I miss a text. I'm human. I'm like, oh, Jason, oh, Seth, oh, sure, I guess, when, how, what, Connie, help. But I'm like, oh, how cool. Yeah, I'd love to contribute. I'm on Gary's call anyway in 15 minutes or whatever. Sure. And then we're like, if somebody calls me and says, oh my gosh, I can extend your business equity line of credit, Boston Bank. It calls me and says, hey, Sean Delaney, I haven't seen you forever. Do you need another $500,000 of line of credit? I'm like, yeah, I'm poor. Everything's out. I'm like, please help me, Lord. Have you seen my outflow? Yes. He goes, yeah, I'll just extend it. Can you fill out this or that? right? And then other people like call and with no content, and they're just doing their freaking job, that you can tell you're going to get bucked off the horse for sure.
Great question, Glenn, and great answer, by the way. Any other questions for Debbie while we have her on the phone for a few more minutes?
I do. It's Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Only because I know we're limited on time. I've been watching the clock and want to be respectful of your calendar.
I'm good.
You mentioned that you had something to share, and I didn't want to hang up the call without seeing what that was.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share. Okay, good. So this is just to give you, and you guys do this, I'm sure, in your world. But this is our crazy world here. And I wanted to share so that you guys can kind of, I love to contribute and I love to learn. So let me show you this. Let's see, I think this is it. So can you guys see my screen? I'll make it a little bigger. So this is the property. It's on my website. This is the 3080 Ralston that we just put into contract with 3 offers, and it sold at 16.4, just so you know, hot off the press. And so at this price level, we're not underpricing to get high. At anything under 5 million, especially anything under 3 million, we're pricing at like 2,498 or 2,998 to get 3.5 plus or minus. But at this level, so you can see this house, we represented the buyers. We actually sold this property to our clients last year in pandemic. I'll tell you a story next time. So this is how it looked in March 1. So I approached our client and I said, we're selling it. We just bought it. People are going to look at what you just bought it for, and it needs to look sexy. So we're putting in at least 100,000 to each one of our listings to present it in a luxury manner. This was a $500,000 budget because it's 15,000 square feet. Just the painting was 350. So this is what it looked like on March 1st. And then our designer, our in-house designer, and I get together and say, okay, who's buying this house? Who's our audience? How can we make it look good? So here's the progress. So scaffolding, bam, right? Glenn, don't look, you're driving. Holy crap. And then here's how it turned out. So which house do you guys like better? The old Tudor, crappy old looking house that looks like somebody old owned it and it might stink inside? Or do you like a sexy kind of white, fresh look and feel? So do we like this house? I know male and female might feel different. Or this house, look.
The other
right?
one.
So we have kind of perfected this casual, nothing fancy. This is a Google Doc. Woo! Good morning, Ava Sharp. Ava Sharp's up. So, and then, we're saying, okay, here's the progress. This is made it look much bigger, like bam, right? And then here's our inspiration. Like, we're like, okay, so Tudor isn't selling here. I don't know about you. We're in California. You're in Miami. I doubt if you have any Tudor houses there that are like dying Tudor houses on the beach. No, this is not London. We want sexy California, we call them yummy houses. Like, that's internal language. And then we put a light fixture schedule together. We do circle lighting. We have, we install probably 50 light fixtures here. And just kind of made it look where folks are buying today. Who bought it? IPO guy that had 2,040,000 shares at $40 a piece. And he has a young child that's 5, he and his family. And then he has 2 children and his wife has 2 children. So 5 together is a blended. And they're young and hot. They're not going to want their dad's Tudor house or their grandparents' Tudor house or no Tudor house. So we're constantly saying, okay, like what's fresh and new? How can we make luxury fun? How can, we get more excitement to our, 1900 to 1920, 1950 homes? And so that just kind of gives you, we do new door, we do poles, we kind of just sex it up and make it. So this is the house before. You can see curtains, rugs, like really, really heavy. And then this is the living room now. This is the office.
Day and night.
Debbie,
damn, right?
Richard Calabat on the call just said, do you guys pay for that or does the client pay for that, those upgrades?
Yeah, good question, Richard. Back to the line of credit for Boston Bank. We are always running, which is a little dangerous. We're always working with our fabulous attorney folks to make sure we're not general contractors. We're managing the process. We're, we're inspiring and executing the inspiration. So we're at any given time, we have about 300 out to the, you know, our sellers' properties. But this one, no, I did not front $500,000. So we had those paid immediately. We had a property, you know, we hired a property manager for that property because our clients moved to Puerto Rico. And I'm like, we need leverage here. We need, you know, you always, as an expert, you know what you need and you don't have, right? So just think out of the box, guys. And we only put this together, this platform together is like prepare to sell. And then we have another platform, prepare to keep. So we call the Sharp Group and then Home by the Sharp Group. So why are we only helping people with their beautiful house when we're buying and selling? Why aren't we helping folks when they're not buying and selling or when they're moving in? What do we want to do? So right now we have about 7 projects going on for prepare to keep. Love your home, love the Sharp Group. And then we always are preparing about 3 to 5 listings, prepare to sell.
So what's the most you might invest out of your pocket for a listing, if you don't mind?
It's about 100. You know, that you're fronting or the investment for branding and marketing.
Oh no, for fronting. So you're fronting it and you'll get reimbursed at some point by the client?
Escrow. Yeah. So if we're fronting, it's goes through escrow. And the lucky thing, our average days on market are about 15 and our average, you know, 10 to 15 days. And then our average close of escrow is still 30, 20 to 40, really, because appraisals are so hard to get right now.
Understood. So if for some reason it didn't sell, would it be you who's out or would the client reimburse you for that?
We do have a full reimbursement agreement. Now you're always a risk, right? If you don't have the money and something goes wrong, it's a calculated risk. It hasn't happened to us before.
I got a question here, please.
Yeah.
Who determines the return on investment on this, on these expenses that you're putting out?
We advise. We don't overpromise and underdeliver. We don't say your return will be this. However, our business model is not to spend $1 or invest $1 and get $1 back. We're running an approximate ROI of anywhere between 3 and 6% on the money in 60 days, right? And so how we measure that, it's arbitrary because you're like, here's the value of the house. Here's the listing price. Because mostly, unless it's over 5 million, we're pricing a bit young to get more audience and sell big because our inventory is retracted and our land is retracted and our buyers are very high. We have a lot of them. So we're pricing low to get high. And so that in many cases it's, 3 to 5 offers plus or minus. So we're measuring against list price to sales price, but we also put in there, here's where we said your property is worth 3.5. We listed it at 3 and it sold for 4. So approximate ROI, we're measuring, on both levels, the value that we advise, the value, and then against the listing price as well. We're not trying to like bait and switch over.
Obviously, the determination of the selling price at that level is one expertise, and then you have to bring in this investment that you're going to allocate to the property, and that investment has to, I believe, you're calculating that is going to bring in an additional return over the selling price that you're estimating.
Yes, exactly. Of course.
Right.
Is that an easy great question, by the way?
Yeah, good one, guys. Yeah, it's wild.
Is that an easy conversation to convince a seller to list at 2.5?
No.
The idea that you'll sell for 3.5. Can you quickly walk us through that kind of list price conversation if you do a quick role play?
Sure. Yeah. And we, again, we always focus on the facts, right? So I could just show you a quick sheet and then I do have to pop off.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Because usually Gary is on time. Let's see. So let's go into active. So we have a property on the market now in Burlingame, just under 3. And we just kind of go, again, we're just running on the facts. And of course, I always tell our clients, we're not practicing on you. We're not new at this. We have 12 people on our team. We've been in business just under a decade. Our compounding results are here. However, I'm not playing God and I'm not cocky. So here's the scenarios. Here's the range. We don't know exactly who will buy it and exactly what it will sell for. However, we do know if you price it right, present it right, you will build a moat around the property. We will have the best results for you and it will sell big and fast. So don't mess with me. I tell them. But yes, you got it. So here's just a sheet that we just run. I mean, it's just simple. I just have my operations pull it from Broker Metrics and we just say, okay, these are properties in Burlingame. Here's list price, sales price, price per square foot, days on market, bed, bath, square footage, lot size, sale date, close date, right? Then I break it up into 3 sections and I just do a tally here. Active, pending, sold over the listing price, sold over in yellow. I should put it in green. And then sold at or under, and then total. And I just do a quick calculation. There are 3 properties that are active in their category. 3, guys, no inventory. There's 7 pending. And I know what each one of those sold for because I'm an expert and I call the broker community. And there's 28, Mr. Seller, that's not taking my advice possibly, that sold over in a very aggressive way. And there's 9 that sold at or under. So what do we think the facts are? Right? So we quit talking and work with the facts. And then of course have the scripts. It's much easier. Right? So do you guys see that? It's very clear. Look at all the properties that have sold over in an aggressive way. Even properties that sold at or under, I didn't even include. I put that, here, but there's properties selling for several $100,000 over, $500,000 over, right? However, it needs to be presented right to then price it aggressively to go over. Because if it's a crappy house, people aren't going to fight for it. They're going to be like, oh, it's kind of scary, right? But if you're working with the facts.
I'm pretending I'm the seller. Debbie, what happens if they come in at 2.5? How can you guarantee me that they will go over 2.5 if we think 3 to 3.5 is the ultimate goal?
Yeah, good question, Jason. So bottom line is we'll use that offer as leverage to get other offers and negotiate. And in the state of California, we do not have to take a written offer for any price. And bottom line is I don't need multiple offers to negotiate. And if we get multiple offers at 2.6, then there's 3 offers at 2.6 and we think, and you think it's going to sell at 3, the market is speaking. We get 1 offer, it might be a low ball. We negotiate or use that offer as leverage. We don't sell and celebrate. There's no touchdown. It's winning the game. And they're like, okay.
Great. Wow. Thank you so much, Debbie. This has been very, very, very informative. How can we, the 28 agents that are on this call, how can we help you over there in Northern California, that Palo Alto area, just south of San Francisco?
Yeah, you guys. So let us know if we can be an asset, even if you want numbers or facts, like what's California, what's Northern Cal, what's the peninsula. Our average price point in our county is just under 3 million. Average price point in the town that I live in is just under 6 million. Crazy. And I don't live in that house. And then, average price point in our 3 cities that are our favorites, our focus, and we live and work and breathe it, those are kind of ranging from 2.5, as I said, just up to 6. So it's, it's a crazy market, lots of aggressiveness, going on here. However, we have our opportunities as well. But I think it's good to, be in touch by Coastal. So Jason has my contact information. I'm happy to be an asset to you. You can, add me to your database and send me facts about your area. And I'm so sorry I'm like fixated on Surfside and that building. It makes me sicker than sick. I called 5 engineers when it happened. I'm like, oh my God, this is scary. So hard. So I'm fixated on it. I'm thinking good thoughts. It's just horrible. So just grab us if you need us. You know how to find me, the Sharp Group.
Your information in the chat. We'll put your name, your contact information in the chat, but we're going to be here for another 15 minutes or so. You're welcome to stick around if you're not, but we know you got to get to the top 100 meeting. But
bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
You're
Bye.
so
Thank
welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
all right, folks.
That was
So-
wonderful. Thank you, Jason, for arranging to have Debbie join us. That was really informative.
She was super. She was great. Wow. Any ahas that we can share? Any things that you wrote down that we can all revisit from her conversation there?
Like her ripple effect that she talks about. I mean, we all think about it, to get referrals, to get something second, third, fourth order down the line. But I like the fact that she refers to it as a ripple effect.
Yes.
Because it's more than just business. It's also like an effect towards people's lives and stuff like that, just by that one drop of help that we give.
Ripple effect. Great point, Glenn. She said something like about 750. A 750 deal can become 3 million in deals right there in that ripple effect. That was great. Any other ahas that come to mind from Debbie?
I love the
love the-
average price point in their market. That kind of blew my mind. The 3 million is the average price point. We don't even go up to 300,000 here. So that was pretty interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, great point, Anjali. Average price point, 3 million. That's her world. That's their world over there. So 1 million looks like it's a starter home, or
A shack.
right? Or a starter
Just a
unit.
shack.
It's your
Studio.
backup.
Yeah. What else comes to mind? Any other ahas?
A couple things. Jason, this is Grace. Can you guys hear me okay? Not
Yes,
sure.
great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi. All right. So a couple things. She still has hesitations on picking up the phone, which I thought was very human and very humble of her to admit. And I actually came up with an idea in terms of, reaching out to our database more when we have our listings and leveraging that with our own database, and as opposed to maybe like the Ford scripts say, hey, I got this listing, and open that up to working your own database, which is so simple and yet so profound.
Great point. Jason Garcia on the call and I were just talking about that this morning. Like, what can we say? There's Ford script, but like we got this one bedroom on Miami Beach with a nice, beautifully updated. Maybe we could lead with that to what you're saying, Grace. Great point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for putting this together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other ahas that we can share with the group before Jen takes over and then discusses what has been going on with Keller Williams International Luxury?
I loved her three-prong approach, which she spoke of, how to reach out to people, to reach out a month after mid-year on the home anniversary to talk about, capital gains and 1031 exchanges, and the third one was to call and celebrate them in some way or form and ask for their business. If we can just stick to that, we'd all be very successful, I'm sure.
Absolutely, Anjali. Absolutely, yes. Her energy comes across, her enthusiasm, her passion, her energy, smiling.
And genuineness, yes.
Yeah. Success like that leaves clues, and it's interesting to see what somebody in that range is doing. So great stuff. All right. So Jen, any feedback for us on what you heard recently in the KW luxury department?
Not much. This was a shorter call. The call that I'm talking about, I sent out, it was June 11th, and it was shorter than usual. And he just kind of respected everybody's time, knowing everybody's busy. And I can get through it pretty quickly, although there's a lot of great content if you want to go back to it. So in the previous call, he talked about how to really acquire that customer. And then in this call, he talked more about the systems and streamlining the relationship, the customer experience, essentially. So he always, if you ever listen to his call, he always mentions that our industry is repetitive and can get boring, which I haven't experienced yet. But so when you talk about that repetitiveness, he just went down the line and talked about how to build the process with the experience, with the customer experience, and really mapping out, what was the word he used? Really having a roadmap for each, and he always uses the word defining moments, which I love. And I've done this before, and it really helps me sort of develop the roadmap of what each of the steps are and sort of what that experience is or could be. So he just talked about writing down the steps of any transaction, a buyer transaction, the seller's transaction, through the lens of the client, but also through the lens of your internal associates or yourself. And then what happens at each of those defining moments, when you're writing an offer, when an offer is accepted, or when you're listing your home, each of those defining moments, really thinking about that experience and how you can make it, it does become routine, is where he was going with all of this, but how you can make it a defining moment and how you can anticipate that experience better for them and make sure that it's right. So he said there's 3 steps. One is to identify each of those defining moments and build that roadmap. Who's involved internally and externally, and then ask and think about how to improve and enhance each of those milestones to build that roadmap. So, he's really great at reminding me, my takeaway on this is really great at reminding me to sort of focus on the basics and really think about that roadmap and what to expect along the way. Because as we all know, when you get into the deal and the transaction, it gets a little muddy and crazy and really easy to kind of fall off of your plan. He also talked about, when he was talking about the customer experience, he talked about what he calls service recovery, and just how really to overcome when problems happen, because they will. And he said the speed at which you recover will be the strength of your brand. And to just look for and recognize signals from the clients, especially today. I mean, their clients are getting tired. When things go wrong, they get frustrated, and maybe just pop in. I love the way he mentioned that you just kind of pop in and just remind them, hey, I know you're tired. I know this might be frustrating, but I'm not tired and I'm not frustrating, and we're here for you. Really kind of stay on that path, but to look for those signals. Really, that was it. I tried to be concise. I do think we get much more out of these meetings and these speakers. One thing that did come up, that I'm going to talk about, because Jason, somebody on your team also asked about like the luxury resources and things like that. So the calls that he does every Friday are open to anybody and everybody, which is great for me, a newer agent trying to absorb this stuff. But there are intimate and more expansive things available to you once you've earned your luxury, whether that's an offsite or a brainstorm, or quarterly calls with mastermind groups. I personally don't have access to that yet, but I will. And he just talked about that there's going to be some more resources coming our way. He also spent a few minutes talking about updating your contacts in command and making sure that that was all current, because he and the company is working on a luxury newsletter that he feels like we'll all want to utilize. And that should be coming in July. I think that's it for me.
Jen, thank you so much. So basically, you were referring to the head of KW Luxury, which is Brady Sandahl. Every Friday, is it 1 o'clock East Coast time every Friday? He has a call?
Yeah, it's noon our time. It's noon our time.
Our time, okay. And it's every Friday. Any chance you could share the screen on how one would navigate to that? For the
sure. Well, I mean, there's two things. Oh, I guess I have to share my screen if you want to see it.
We have to. I think Anjali has to give you authorization, right, to access, to do the screen, share screen.
It's open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, and I'm sharing my screen, so I apologize for any text that pop up. I'm in the middle of a transaction that went a little sideways. This again is the website I always talk to you guys about. And let me start real quick. Everybody knows how to get to Connect, right? Everybody does. If you don't, you're missing all sorts of great stuff. So on Connect, which is, I think the shortcut for it is what, agents@kw.com or something, but I have it bookmarked. So here's Connect. I'm guessing everybody knows how to get there. Every Friday, when you go to this page, literally on the main page, it tells you what's happening that day. So today we've got these great resources. There's a calendar. I can't see because you guys are kind of populating my screen. So I'm going to minimize this, but there's a calendar that you can pop into and see all the great, every day there are live streaming topics, and there's a calendar. You can check in, you can add them to your calendar. But if you went to Connect on the main page every single Friday, it would say 1 p.m. Central Time, Brady Sandahl Luxury Learning Series. And you can click into it and you can enroll in it. And it's really super, it's almost impossible to miss if you monitor Connect. Now, I've told you guys a few times, I bookmark this page, but if you went up here to communities, the new KW Luxury, okay, so I'm on Connect, I go to communities, the new KW Luxury, and that is the luxury landing page where a lot of great resources are. And then when you scroll down, marketing tools, collateral, some books and things that you can tap into. But I'm going to keep scrolling for a moment, because if you get down to the learning of the moment, this is where he archives all of his learning series. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that again.
Great.
This is luxury, the luxury landing page, and then you scroll halfway down it, and you'll see this library, study a library of training. Click into it, and this is where he posts all of his Friday sessions. And I keep trying to get back to the beginning, because there's a lot of good stuff in here. And you can see the one that I'll click into this, the one I tapped into most recently. It was, I think it was 20 minutes long. Some of them are 30, most of them are under an hour. Sometimes he has really great speakers, but they're really good bite-sized things you can peel off, 1 or 2 a week if you want to dig into it. And I get a lot out of it. I get more than anything. I just get a little inspired and excited by the tools that we have as a company. So that's kind of where I live. You can see at the top of my page, I have it bookmarked, KW Connect Luxury. We check on it all the time.
Great, under community. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jen. Really appreciate that. It's a great way to wrap it up. I know Richard just asked about the upcoming KW Luxury Retreat. I did some Googling myself. I didn't see anything for that. So we still have to get that to you, and maybe we can send an email out to the group here. And please, if you're not on getting emails from us, perhaps you can put your name, number, and email in the chat, and we can put you on the list if that's all right. And our next call will be like this in 2 weeks. So it's going to be Wednesday. It's every 2 weeks, Wednesday from 11 to 12 East Coast time. So the next one is going to be on the 14th of July. So great. It's 11:59. Anything else?
So that all of you know, today is midpoint. We're halfway through the year. So it doesn't matter what has gone on till now. You still have half the year to catch up. So get out there and make it count.
I'm sorry. I just love what you just said that. We have the opportunity just to change it. It's halftime. It's okay. What happened, happened. Or we need to up our goals. So I love that attitude. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Jason, I just want to say, you, Jennifer, everybody that's put this together, thank you. This doesn't mean a lot. I've been taking some notes. I know it was on and off camera. This is kind of stuff we'll love to continue hearing. So I appreciate it.
Wonderful. So glad it works for everyone. And remember all the good movies, when they win, it's when they go into the locker room at halftime and they have that huddle and they get all their great ideas and they come out and they whoop it. So go get it, team. Have a great one. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.